I'm 68 years old and my son doesn't know me. Not in the way you'd expect. He knows my name. He knows where I live. He calls on my birthday, sends a card at Christmas. But if you asked him who I am, what I care about, what keeps me awake at night, he couldn't tell you. And that's my fault. His name is David. He's 34 now. Graduated from Berkeley 3 years ago with his MBA. Good job. Nice apartment in San Francisco. From the outside, he turned out fine. Better than fine. Successful. Independent. Everything a father is supposed to want for his child. But I wasn't there for any of it. Not really. I was at his graduation, flew out to California, sat in the audience, watched him walk across that stage, felt proud, took photos. Afterward, there was a reception. I stood there with a glass of wine, surrounded by his classmates, people he'd spent 2 years with. They were laughing, telling stories, celebrating. And I realized I didn't know any of them. David hadn't mentioned their names, hadn't told me about study groups or late nights in the library or inside jokes. I was a stranger at my own son's graduation. One of his friends, a woman named Rachel, came up to me, friendly, started chatting. She asked how I was enjoying the weekend, if I'd been to San Francisco before, the usual small talk. Then she said something about how great it must be to finally spend some quality time with David. And I said, "Yeah, we don't see each other as much as we'd like." She looked confused. "Oh, I didn't realize you lived far away." "Boston," I said. "About 3,000 miles. And she said, "That makes sense. David never mentioned you lived so far. Actually, he never really mentioned you at all." She didn't mean it cruelly. It was just an observation, a fact. But it hit me like a punch to the chest. My son had spent 2 years with these people, shared his life with them, and I wasn't part of the story he told. I wasn't part of his story at all. I made my excuses, left early, told David I had an early flight the next morning. I didn't. I just couldn't stand there anymore, pretending I belonged in his life when clearly I didn't. I went back to my hotel room and sat on the edge of the bed for hours, didn't turn on the TV, didn't call anyone, just sat there in the dark, holding that graduation program with his name on it. David Mitchell Chen, my son, a stranger. The thing is, I thought I was doing the right thing. For 30 years, I told myself I was doing it all for them, for David and his mother. I was building something, providing, making sure they had everything they needed. I worked 70-hour weeks, traveled constantly, built my consulting firm from nothing into something worth millions. I told myself it mattered, that the sacrifice was worth it because I was securing their future. But I missed everything that actually mattered. I missed his first soccer game. I was in Chicago closing a deal. My wife called me afterward, told me he scored a goal. I said, "That's great, buddy," when I called him that night. But I wasn't there. I didn't see his face light up, didn't see him run down the field. I got a report, secondhand, like it was a business update. I missed his 8th birthday party. I was in London. Sent a gift, expensive Lego set. He probably doesn't even remember it, but he remembers I wasn't there. Years later, when he was 16, we got into an argument about something, I don't even remember what. And he said, "You're never there anyway, so why does it matter what I do?" That hurt, but he was right. I missed the father-son camping trip his Boy Scout troop organized when he was 10. I was preparing for a merger, told him we'd go next year. We never did. I missed his high school plays, missed his college move-in day, missed most of his childhood, really. I'd show up for the big moments, the ones you couldn't avoid. Graduations, holiday dinners, but the small stuff, the everyday stuff, the moments where real connection happens, I wasn't there. And you can't get that back. You can't rebuild a relationship you never built in the first place. I told myself I was being a good father by providing for him, by making sure he had opportunities I never had, private schools, college fund, no student debt, a safety net. And those things mattered. I'm not saying they didn't, but somewhere along the way, I confused providing with parenting. I thought my job was to give him things, stability, security, money. I didn't realize my job was to give him me. When David was 6, he used to wait by the window every evening around 6 o'clock. His mother told me this years later. He'd sit there, watching for my car, hoping I'd be home for dinner. Most nights I wasn't. Conference calls, client dinners, traffic excuses. Eventually he stopped waiting, started eating dinner without me, started going to bed before I got home, started living a life that didn't include me. And I let it happen. I told myself it was temporary. that things would slow down, that I'd make it up to him later. His mother said he asked once, "Does Daddy not like us anymore?" He was 7 years old, and already learning that I had more important things to do, but later never came. There's this gap now, this distance. When we talk on the phone, it's surface level. Work, weather, sports, safe topics. Nothing real, nothing deep. I don't know what he worries about. Don't know what makes him laugh anymore. Don't know if he's happy or just going through the motions like I did for so long. And he doesn't ask me those things either, because we never learned how to talk to each other. We never built that foundation. Last year he got engaged. Her name is Sarah. I met her once briefly at a holiday dinner. She seems nice. I don't really know her. David called to tell me about the engagement, and I congratulated him. Asked when the wedding would be. He said they were thinking next spring. And then there was this silence, this awkward pause where I knew I should say something meaningful, something fatherly. But I didn't know what. I didn't know him well enough to know what he needed to hear. So I said something generic about being happy for him, and we moved on. The conversation lasted maybe 5 minutes. I wonder if he'll ask me to give a speech at the wedding. I wonder what I'd even say. What stories would I tell? I don't have any. I wasn't there for the stories. I can't talk about teaching him to ride a bike because his mother did that. Can't talk about late night conversations or road trips or inside jokes because we don't have those. All I have is money I gave him and time I didn't. The worst part is knowing it didn't have to be this way. I had a choice. Every late meeting, every business trip, every time I said not tonight or maybe next week, I was choosing work over him. I told myself I didn't have a choice, that this is what providing looks like, that sacrifice is noble. But that was a lie. I had a choice, and I chose wrong over and over and over again. I see other fathers with their adult children, real relationships, inside jokes, comfortable silences, history. They know each other. They've built something over decades of small moments. And I wonder what that feels like, to have your child seek your advice, not because they have to, but because they want to be someone they think about when something good happens, to matter to them in a way that goes beyond biology. David doesn't need me. Financially, sure, he's independent, but emotionally, he never needed me because I was never there to be needed. He learned to rely on his mother, on friends, on teachers and coaches and mentors who showed up when I didn't. He built a life without me, and now that life is full, there's no room for me in it because I never made room for him in mine. I'm 68 now, retired, all that work, all those hours, all that success. It doesn't mean anything anymore. The company I built was sold. The deals I closed are forgotten. The clients I prioritized over my family don't call anymore. None of it lasted. But the damage I did, that's permanent. I think about calling him sometimes, really calling him, not the surface stuff. I want to say, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't. I chose work over you, and I can't take it back, but I want you to know I see it now. I understand what I lost." But I don't know if he'd even want to hear it. I don't know if it would change anything. I've practiced it in my head 100 times. Pick up the phone, dial his number. But I never do. Because what if he says it's too late? What if he says he's moved on? What if the truth is he's happier without me trying to force my way back in? You can't apologize your way back into someone's life after being absent for 30 years. Maybe he's better off without me. Maybe the distance is easier than trying to build something from nothing at this stage. Maybe I missed my window. Maybe some things once broken stay broken. But I'm telling you this because maybe you're where I was. Maybe you're working late right now, missing bedtime, missing dinner, telling yourself it's temporary, that you're doing it for them, that they'll understand when they're older, that providing is the same as being present. It's not. Your kids don't need a bigger house or a nicer car or a college fund as much as they need you, actually you. Not your money, not your excuses, you, showing up, being there, knowing them, letting them know you. Time moves faster than you think. Your kid is 6, then suddenly they're 16, then they're gone, and you can't get those years back. You can't redo their childhood. You get one chance, one shot to build something real with them. And if you miss it, you end up like me, 68 years old, successful on paper, alone in reality, with a son who doesn't know me and doesn't particularly care to. I have money. I have a nice house. I have respect in my industry. None of it fills the space where my son should be. None of it makes up for what I lost, and I'm running out of time to fix it. Maybe it's already too late. Probably it is. Don't let it be too late for you. Don't trade your child's childhood for a career that won't remember you. Don't miss the moments that matter because you think there will always be more. There won't. They grow up, they move on. They build lives without you. And one day you'll be standing at their graduation, surrounded by strangers, realizing you don't know your own child, and they don't know you. That's where I am, 68 years old, successful, alone, with a son I love but don't know, a son who's polite but distant, a son who survived my absence but never forgave it. He doesn't have to, because I haven't forgiven myself. If you're reading this, if something in this sounds familiar, you still have time, not forever. But right now, today, you have time. Go home. Put down your phone. Close your laptop. Be there. Actually be there. Know your kid. Let them know you. Build something real while you still can, because I promise you, no amount of success is worth this kind of regret.